Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all doing well. I've got Mike here from the Blue Boys Network. So, how are you tonight, Mike?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you, mate. I'm good. I'm not looking forward to the game, but I'm sure you'll ask a few questions on that. And I think it's always nice to get around the other fan channels and see what's going on with their clubs. Forest have done, fairly well this season, really. Big turnover of players, and they've managed to be really solid at home, really. So, yeah, tough game for Everton, but a game that, if I'm being honest, Everton need to get something out of, if I'm being truthful, with where we are in the league.
Yeah, I'm sure that we'll touch up on about it, and you probably be like the same as us this week and hoping that other teams do a job on the teams around us, especially how it's looking at the minute.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it's weird, really, because anyone from about Palace down can go down. Obviously, Everton are 18th. Obviously, we're the lowest goal scorers in the league. It's really concerning to be an Everton fan right now. But we've just got to have a little bit of hope that Sean Dyche can make us solid at the back, and we can find someone who will score goals and help us out. But Forest have got more firepower than Everton, and Forest at home as well. They've looked quite good, if I'm being honest. They've looked fairly solid, bearing in mind it's their first season in the Premier League in a long time, and I think Forest would be fine. I don't think Forest fans should worry too much about relegation, but um, it's not loads of points away, but I think it's enough points away for the teams like Everton, Bournemouth, Southampton, maybe Leeds not to catch them, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I mean, where you guys are in the table, it's for me, looking at Everton over the years, they always pride themselves as being like top 8 team, top 10 team, but it's like you guys seem to like grand other way instead of saying up, challenging for that top 4 like it was under Moyes, to be fair.
Mm. Yeah, it's been really weird. Really, it's been a massively difficult, weird 10 years, I'd say, because Everton under David Moyes were consistently fifth, sixth. We finished fourth once and played in the Champions League against Villarreal, etc. And we did well. Um, Moyes left, goes to Manchester United, and Everton. Appoint Roberto Martinez, and the first season's fantastic. Everton could have finished in the Champions League. They bottled it at the end, and Arsenal just managed to catch them. But Everton were well up there, and then we fell off a little bit. We finished 11th under Martinez. Then Ronald Koeman comes in under new ownership from Farhad Moshiri, spends a shit ton of money, and we've just gone backwards really ever since the first season of Koeman. We've gone backwards and backwards and backwards. We had one fairly positive season under Carlo Ancelotti, but even that at home we were really poor. We were better away from home. So yeah, if I'm being truthful, this football team has been on a downward trajectory for a long, long time now, and at some point it will come to an end, and it's either going to come to an end with Everton being relegated or Everton either getting a new owner and some further investment and to actually fix this football team, because for Everton Football Club, who you rightly say, would be not unusual to finish in the top say 6th to 10th in that space there. Um, we've got Ellis Sims and Neil Maupay up front, which are not going to pull up any trees in any Premier League game against anyone. So, yeah, mate, it's real issues at Everton, and it's been a really, really difficult period of time for probably the last 7 or 8 years.
I mean, with Forest fans, I won't be the only one that say it. I know a lot of Forest will say it that we was on that sort of downward spiral under Farras. That was before when Marquinhos came in, and lucky enough we stayed up on last day of the season against Ipswich, and that summer we got rid of Farras. He sold the club, and I mean we can relate to how you guys are, and since then it's just been a upward thing for us. So it has been a lot more different. It's I mean what caused it this season? Do you think it been like Lampard chose the tactics he bought, or just everything inside the club?
I there's loads of issues, mate. There's loads of issues. Lampard tactically was inept. Um, he got the fans, but he didn't get how to win football matches. He whether he was part of the recruitment of players like Neil Morpay and Dwight McNeil in the summer, who knows? But the fact in the fact is that in his last game of his tenure, neither of those players came onto the football pitch. Speaks volumes of the recruitment under Lampard. Um, Sean Dyche has been in charge now for 5 games, and Everton have won 2, lost 3. The games we've lost is Liverpool away, Arsenal away, and a home game against Aston Villa, which, that's the one that hurts. So there's been a whole calamity of errors, defensive errors, not scoring enough goals. So when you go 1-0 down, you can't react, you can't do anything. So yeah, it's not a positive for Everton really, mate. There's very little positives from a structural perspective about this Everton team. They're just a mess.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you guys got Jimmy Garner in as well, which I mean, I was a bit disappointed we didn't get him back on a permanent deal. To be fair, in the summer, and you guys went in for him, and had you guys found Jimmy Garner?
Well, Garner's played very little football for Everton. He's had injuries. When he's came in, he's looked fairly decent, but he's a young talent. Um, it worried me actually, if I'm being brutally honest, that Forest went and bought whatever it is. Is it 30 players now over 2 windows, roughly?
Yeah, yeah. It's been 30 players over 2 windows.
Yeah, and none of them was Garner. They didn't approach Garner in the summer, so that makes me wonder: did they actually rate him? Do they actually think he's good enough for the Premier League? He might have done a great job in the Championship, but why didn't you buy him in the summer? Um,
That was another thing about our transfer windows.
yeah,
In the,
well, it's mad really, and when you look at the business that Forest have done, is they've been clever. They've been very clever. They've brought in the right players in the right positions. But would you, knowing James Garner now and the James Garner that you had last season, with your current midfield now, would James Garner get into that side?
I think if you asked me before January, I think in Yatesy and Fuller would have been, it would have got in
Yeah,
quite easily, knowing that Cooper worked with him last season and how well Garner and Yates worked as a centre midfield too, because them two was starting to back in the last season. Them two they were like the Chuckle brothers. They were our first starting 11, and I think it would have got in, knowing that after January that we brought in that Shelby and that I think it would have been hard for him knowing that of Shelby's quality that he
yeah,
has. So it it would have been interesting to see, but I mean, we didn't even sign any of our players from last season that was on loan. So our recruitment in the summer, we just got a bit more like players that was already permanently made, and we did question was it Cooper signings or was it the recruitment team signings? But since then, they got rid of the head of scouting and someone else, and brought in someone from Watford, and they just changed the whole transfer policy.
yeah. It's interesting, really. I think that Cooper's done a phenomenal job on dealing with all of the additions, all of the turmoil of last season. If I remember correctly, did he come into Forest last season when you were not playing very well?
Yeah, so basically we were bottom of the table. We had 1 point from seven. That came against
That was
Derby.
it. That was
Um,
it.
we lost 2-0 against Middlesbrough. Hooton got sacked on the Thursday. And then miraculously, Stephen Reid took twice at the Huddersfield game away, beat them 2-0, and he came in and it took him a couple of games to get us playing. But after that, it just was like a snowball effect.
Yeah, I mean, he's done a sensational job. I mean, I remember Forest being bottom. I remember joking with one of my friends saying, Forest are a massive club. They've won 2 European titles. They've won league honours. They're a big club. And for them to potentially going into the second division the third division of English football, I was shocked. And they were kind of at that point going out without a whimper. 1 point in 7 games. But he come in, he did a really good job. He shored you up. He got them results. And in the end, you kind of think if he was in charge from the start of the season, how many points would you have actually ended up with? I mean, it was a sensational result, and Forest were a lot of people's favourites to go back down, and that was no disrespect to Forest. It's just
Yeah.
it's always tough when you come back up, but actually he's acquitted them really really well. He's developed a really structured side. There's some really good players in that team. Um, you know what you're going to get with Forest. You're going to get a game. You're going to get a bit of aggression. You're going to have some quality on the ball. The wingers have got pace so they can get in behind. It's a good brand of football, well organised, well structured. So, yeah, I'm not looking forward to this game, as I say.
I mean, the start of the season, we beat West Ham, we drew against Everton, obviously, which we did, and we were hit and miss, and we were trying to play what we played last season with the expansive football, which it was pretty to see, but sometimes we weren't getting the results, and it took us to the Leicester game, we lost 4-0. And that week, it was really bleak because after the Leicester game, they said that Cooper Matt was sacked, all this and all that, and the knee test was being linked. And on the Friday before the film on Monday, Cooper got his new deal. We were meant to sign one back in the last season, well, when we went up, and and since then we just seem to short it up. We look a lot more harder to beat at home now, and got us playing, and we've got some really good results against Liverpool, Spurs, and Wolves. I mean, we're getting results now.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see what the reaction is from the last game for both of us. You guys losing away at West Ham 4-0, and it being a bit of a kick in, if I'm being honest. And then you've got us going to Arsenal, losing 4-0 again, another kick in. So it'll be interesting to see how both teams bounce back in this game. From an Everton perspective, it's an absolute must not lose. If you offer me a point now, we'll take it, but really we need 3. The problem is, I don't think we've got the strikers to cause you any problems, if I'm being totally honest. And Everton are going to have to find a way of playing against an organised Nottingham Forest side and fundamentally try and get a result. It's a tough game. And you'll see Everton the same. Sean Dyche will be going to the Forest ground, and you'll be saying, right, how are we going to beat Everton? We know that they conceded 2 goals to a very good Villa side. We know that they conceded 4 to Arsenal, and we know they've lost to Liverpool. But the home games against Leeds and Arsenal, they were pretty good in. So how are we going to beat them? And I think as long as Cooper's got an answer to that, you'll win.
Yeah, that's the thing because I was on down to Dutch, and obviously it's the season to go at Forest, and he's been coming down to Forest before he got the Everton job, and he has been down since. So he knows Forest's strengths and weaknesses, and obviously we both got beat 4-0, and if Cooper been Cooper, hopefully he does have a really good plan. But obviously we both know Sean Dutch is well organised, well drilled, and does have a really good way of like defending, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you have a similar issue to Everton. That's the problem. So we both don't score lots of goals. So you've scored 18 in the league this season. Everton have scored 17. The difference is Everton have only conceded 36, although it's still a lot. And Forest have conceded 42. But you've won games of football. You've won where you've needed to. So you've done really well. It's 4 points. That's the gap. So all of a sudden, if Forest did lose this game, which I don't think they would, if I'm being totally honest, but if they did, all of a sudden, teams like Forest, Leicester, Wolves, they're back looking over their shoulders again. So this is, make no bones about it, this is an absolutely massive game for Nottingham Forest, because if they can dispatch Everton and create that gap, which would then be, what would it be, 7 points.
Yeah.
I'd probably say you're safe at that point. But if you lose, you're dragged right back into it.
I was saying earlier, um, another preview saying that if Forest going to Spurs next week, knowing that our away form is awful with that 7 point gap, it will ease the pressure. Whereas if Everton win, next two games against Spurs and Newcastle were like massive, especially going into the international break.
Well, yeah, I mean, I have just been having a little look at your fixtures, and if we go through your fixtures a little bit, you've got in the next 5 weeks, including the Everton games, so in the next five fixtures, you've got some massive games, massive. You've got us, so you've got to beat us. If you don't beat us, you've got Tottenham, which is a tough ask away from home. Then there's Newcastle, who I think they're having a bit of a blip, but it'll be interesting to see how well you play against a very organised Newcastle side. Then you've got two massive games, Wolves and Leeds. So, from a Forest perspective, they've got to beat Everton. They've got to beat Everton because you may not get anything away at Spurs. You may get a point against Newcastle, but then you must win games of Everton, Wolves, and Leeds. And if you can win them, you stay up. But if you don't win them, you're probably in the same rounds of Everton, Leeds, Bournemouth, and Southampton. And trust me, it's not a pretty place to be, mate.
Nah, definitely not. Um, I mean, I'm presuming, especially with your starting 11, you're probably going to go with Calvin Lewin up front. And I mean, what sort of predicted 11 are we going to see on Sunday?
Yeah, so I think from an Everton perspective, starting teams probably give or take someone, probably Pickford in goal, Mikalenko. I think he probably goes with Tarkowski and Cody, probably throws in Coleman at right back as normal. It wouldn't surprise me if he still plays the three in midfield, which is Anana, Garner, and Decore. And then up front, he'll have Iwobi, probably Morpay, and Dwight McNeil. Now that isn't my team. My team would be different to that. My team wouldn't have Morpay starting, and I'd go 4-4-2 and play Ellis Sims and Damari Gray dropping Decore. But um, it's just an absolute must-win for Everton. So I'd, I'd go all out attack. I would personally stick seven strikers on the pitch.
And that's the thing with Darts as well, because he knows a couple of the Everton lads before he came in, especially with Tarkowski and that, so he knows the players already.
Hmm. Yeah, it's definitely interesting because Dyche will know Forest. He'll also know players that we've got, McNeil or Tarkowski. Um, he's obviously had 5 weeks to get used to the players as well. So it'll be really interesting to see how he sets up against a Forest side that he knows very well. Um, I personally think that this game has got a draw written all over it because I remember doing the preview for the other fixture, the Everton Forest game at Goodison, and I would never forget sitting there going, this newly promoted side has come to Everton, played us off the park, or played really well, and we ended up scraping a 1-1 draw. And I mean, it just was not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fixtures like that have cost Everton this season. Games where at home would be perceived to be the better team, just like you guys are in this game. You are perceived to be the better team, therefore you should dispatch Everton. Of course, you should, as we should have dispatched you at Goodison, but we didn't, and that's why Everton are in this situation because we've lost to Wolves at home, we've lost to Southampton at home,
Yeah.
we drew away at Leeds, we've drawn at home with Forest, we drew we lost to West Ham. So this Everton team go into all of these games very very ropey.
I've
But
always returned that game, and I've said straight away, if we get a point at Everton, I'd be happy with it being Goodison, the home
yeah,
crowd. I'd good you guys all at home. This was going back in August. I felt like, oh, if we get a draw, I'd be happy. But I came away from it quite gutted that we drew, just on how it was, how the game went.
I think it's interesting because I think it's a massive game. It's a massive, massive, massive game for both teams, and I don't think Forest have lost at home since September. It would shock me if Everton are the first team to do it. We'll say
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the score prediction. I mean, did you say it was a draw? That
1-1. Yeah, 1-1. I think both teams score. I think both teams counteract each other. Both teams can't massively defend very well. Both teams can't score lots of goals. Just makes me think it's 1-1. Everton will score from a corner. You'll score from open play, cutting through the middle of us.
yeah, I'll be happy with a point. Depending on the results from Saturday, I think that think Sunday morning I'll wake up and be like, I'll probably make my mind up then. But
Mm.
I think if the results go our way, I'll be happy with a point. Whereas if some don't, I'll be like, yeah, we need to win.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a tough one. What's your dangerous players?
Gibbs White probably. Gibbs White, Brennan Johnson obviously scored in the
Yeah,
first leg. Already been solid this season, but he's injured at the minute. Shelby, obviously, you know Shelby from
yeah.
Newcastle days. And another player for me that it goes about his business a lot more different. It's Fuller.
Mm.
He don't do anything outstanding, but it's just does the job. Just do the basics for me. I mean, he gets the ball, keep the ball going.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, who knows, mate? I think the problem is Everton with that team. It's his first game away at Palace, away at Forest in as a manager of Everton. It's a game that he's got emotions in. He knows those good players that you've just mentioned. I just think it's going to be very, very, very interesting.
Yeah, it will be. Do you want to say about your socials and YouTube channel?
Ah, yeah. So, yeah, guys, you'll see me on DR Sports, over doing the kickoff and the watch alongs that they do over there, and also my socials at Blue Boys Network on everything, uh, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, of course. So, if you'd like to hit the like button and subscribe for both of us, I'd be very, very grateful.
Yeah, do hit the like and subscribe to both of us guys, as per usual. And thank you for coming on as well, mate.
It's all right, mate. No problem at all. Always happy to join up with fellow creators.
Yeah, definitely. So I'd like to say thank you for watching, guys, and goodbye.